Hey YouTube. So I'm really trying to be like lively and exciting, but it's like nearly impossible after watching this finale. Was it finale? Yeah, finale episode of If Loving You Is Wrong. Like, see, yeah, I'm losing my voice. The end of this episode was just like, wow. Like, I was literally left speechless. But I will get to that part. The whole episode was just like a lot. But of course, it didn't disappoint for a finale episode, but it was just, I didn't expect that plot twist. But anywho, before I even dig into the episode, as usual, if this is your first time viewing this channel, please subscribe. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. I love your support. Okay, click that subscribe button and we're about to dig in. Okay, so this was If Loving You Is Wrong, Season 3, Episode 18, titled Behind Enemy Lines. And this whole episode was a battle. Whether it was like verbal or it was just emotions or like dealing with your own inner demons, like it was just a lot, okay? Everybody was behind enemy lines in this episode. Okay, so started off where it left off with Brad, the doctor, Alex, and Randall all in the hall, and Alex was left with egg on her face because she was confronted about her lies about her doctor switching the DNA test. Okay, so at this point, it's a war zone. Okay, Brad is clearly upset because he has found out that once again Alex lied to him. The doctor is upset because Alex lied on her. And Alex was just speechless this entire time. The entire time they're trying to confront her, she's speechless. Like, she's in a war and she ran out of bullets at this point, and she's just standing there like a fish out of water. She doesn't know what to do. Meanwhile, Randall is still down the hall on the phone, like trying to get in touch with lawyers or something so that he can sue the doctor. Well, Alex finally speaks up and says, well, I was like, okay, the doctor didn't say verbatim that she switched the results, but she kind of suggested it in a way. And Brad is like, no, you said this is what she said, not that she suggested it. I am like basically disgusted by you. You know what? I don't want anything to do with you. Don't ever talk to me again. And Alex, of course, is just like overwhelmed because she just feels like she keeps like fighting a losing battle. Okay, it's a lose-lose situation. Like, she doesn't know a truth to tell him because she doesn't understand the results of the DNA test as it is. Whereas in all actuality, she should have just like ordered a new DNA test. Like, if you know you didn't sleep with anybody besides your husband and Randall, and you clearly had a black baby, then it's Randall's baby. Take another DNA test. They could have accidentally like switched the test or something, like, or switched the DNA. I don't know. Like, the lab could have done it for, all she knows. So, but Alex likes to like lie, and when you tell one lie, you have to like pile another lie on top of it until you just get buried in a pile of lies, and then you're left with egg on your face and you feel like you have nobody. So that's Alex in this moment. She eventually had to confess and tell the truth. Of course, Brad got mad. He doesn't want anything to do with her and was like, I'm leaving. And I'm like, Brad, I really should have started counting how many times you said you were leaving in the second part of the season alone. Like, you say that you're leaving at least twice an episode, and you never leave. So, like, stop lying to yourself and her. But whatever. He walks away. He needs some air. She begs and pleads, but he's not listening. Okay. So then Randall walks up in the midst of all this going on. Randall is still confused. Like, okay, so what's going on? Like, is she lying or not? Like, is it my baby or not? Regardless, I'm still going to sue you. As the doctor, I'm still going to sue you. And the doctor is like, no, the information is not true, whatever. And she just walks away. So at that point, Randall taunts Alex because that's just what he does. And he tells her, you know what, bottom line, you can't beat me. At this point, she looks defeated. She's like, I'm tired of playing this game, okay? It's true. I really can't. I can't beat you. I don't even have anything slick to say back to you because I feel like I've just, like, lost everything. Like, all my lies have come to the front, like, and everybody has confronted me with my lies. All my lies have come to the front of the classroom, and I don't know what to say at this point. So Randall asks her, okay, so I gotta ask you this question. Is the baby mine? She says, of course, okay? He looks just like you. And I wonder, like, is she telling the truth or not? I don't know. So then he says, well, then why would you lie about it? And she's like, look, I don't even have an explanation, okay? I already said I'm sorry. So then he asked her, well, is Marcy's baby mine? And she said, yes, just look at the dates on the calendar. And he's like, yeah, I don't know if I should believe you. She's like, hey, if you don't want to look at the dates on the calendar, you can go right into that hospital room and ask her yourself. She's right in here. So of course Randall is like shocked, like, oh, okay, I didn't know she was in here. But Alex is like, you know what? Go like wreak havoc in someone else's life, please. I'm done. Go in there and talk to your wife. And then he says, oh, okay, go ahead, go home. Meet me in the shed. Be ready when I get there. We can talk about custody or the baby, whatever. Kind of taunting her, but he like feels like he's winning at this point. So of course, he goes right on over to Marcy because she's like public enemy number 2 right behind Alex. He goes in there, doesn't have good intentions. We know that. She thought he was somebody else walking in until she sat up and realized it was him, and her smile went to a frown. She was very disappointed at that point. She's trying to stay calm because, of course, she doesn't want to miscarry her baby, and she's just trying to, be chill. So he claims he's there to check on her and the baby, but we know that he just, wants to cause problems in her life because that's his whole purpose for not divorcing her to begin with. So he basically asked her, like, what's wrong? Like, are you stressed out? Are you too stressed to carry this baby too? Are you going to lose this baby just like all the other babies you lost? You miscarry again? Is your body not good enough for this? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, coming from anybody, that would be so hurtful, but coming from a man and a man that you were once in love with, like married to, that is just like a horrible thing to say. Like, talk about behind enemy lines. This was a situation of being behind enemy lines where Marcy still in this situation felt defeated because she can't get all riled up like she normally does because she's trying to stay as calm as possible and not stressed out because she wants to keep this baby. Because unfortunately, the things he's saying is true. She has suffered several miscarriages in the past and her body hasn't been able to hold a baby. So for him to come in and throw that in her face is absolutely horrible. Randall is like the devil. So she is just kind of trying to play him off. She calmly asks him to leave. And then he's like, you know what? I'm just kidding. Like, you know what? I have a feeling you're going to have this baby. And with this being my baby, which I know it is, Alex didn't help me with those dates. I did those dates. I've had dreams about this, about both of my kids growing up in a house together with their dad, and this is going to be great. And he's like, so what are we going to name the baby? And so she's slick, so she says Brad, like she ain't got all the time in the world today, but she got a little bit of time. So he's like, no, that baby is mine. So whatever. Eventually, he gets tired of taunting her and tells her he's going to go visit Larry. And she's like, why would you do that? You already signed the divorce papers for me. And so Randall is taken aback by this information and realizes that, okay, he didn't sign them, so Larry must have, like, tricked him into signing them. So he's really upset at this point, and he's, like, saying this information out loud while he's working it out in his head, and he's, like, ready to, like, jump on Larry. He's so mad. So Marcy is, like, unbothered by this. Like, okay, go ahead and leave because I wanted you to leave anyway. Okay. And you could tell she's relieved when he left because it was a very tense moment for her. Okay, so then we have Lucian. Lucian is at the police station. Justice has just left out of the room visiting Kelly, and Lucian goes in to check on her to ask her how her visit was with Justice. She's very emotional at this point. She feels like he deserves a better mother than her. She can't believe that she's put him in this position. She's like, he doesn't deserve to have a mother that's a murderer. Like, I still remember what I did. I can literally smell his blood still. And Lucian is trying to tell her, like, like, calm down. How many times I have to tell you, do not talk in here. Do not talk. And Kelly, like, she's not built for jail, okay? Like, maybe she could plead temporary insanity or something in that moment that she killed him. But, like, she's not meant for jail, okay? Because she's breaking down. And seeing her son, and maybe she felt like she was, like, failed as a mother because someone else is caring for him while she's in here for a crime she did commit. She's just, like, looks defeated at this point. You can tell. Lucian is trying to pull her together. He tells her he has a visitor for her, but she needs to pull it together. So the visitor that comes inside is Natalie. Natalie's really not helping the situation because Natalie tells her, like, girl, you don't look good. Natalie never knows what to say to her friends, okay? Like, she always says the wrong thing. And Kelly is like, well, dang, like, tell me something good about myself. Like, I was at least expecting that. And she's like, no, I don't mean that. Like, you just don't look like yourself. Of course. Like, she's in jail, Natalie. Okay. So whatever. Kelly is like, I have this thank you letter for you. Like, thank you so much for helping out with my son. And just don't read it until later. So don't read it until later. Okay. I was a little suspicious because I expected for that letter that Kelly was writing to be like for someone else, like to be for Justice's dad or his grandma, Aunt Viv. I didn't expect it to be for one of Kelly's friends because Kelly can easily call any of her friends. But we understand the purpose of the letter later on in the episode. Okay, so she tells her don't read it until later, and she leaves out. Meanwhile, well, she doesn't leave out yet. Lucian walks in, assures Kelly she'll be fine. He can tell that she's emotional. Kelly just says, you know, I'm just really tired, and I want to go back to my cell and go to sleep. And I think that says a lot when an inmate is used to being in their cell, and now they've gotten time out of their cell into an interrogation room. Like, I feel like they have a different setting. Like, it's not necessarily freedom, but it's not looking at like metal bars. So when they request to go back to their cell, that's a little concerning because it's like some like mental things happening with them at that point. So, you know, I think, you know, that would have been good for them to pay attention to. So at that point, Natalie and Lucian leave out since she wanted to go back to her cell. When Natalie's in the hallway, she talks to Lucian and she says, like, she's genuinely concerned about Kelly and they need to check on her. And Lucian is like, yeah, like, me and Esperanza check on her all the time. She's on 24-hour watch. And Natalie is like, no, I'm dead serious. Like, it was just like a look in her eye. Like, you need to check on her, okay? And I think women pick up on those emotions or certain vibes a little bit more so than men, maybe. Or maybe it was the fact that Kelly is actually Natalie's friend, not so much Lucian's friend. Lucian has grown to like love her as a person, but maybe Natalie just understands Kelly more. But whatever the case, we'll go. Esperanza is in the police station, and Esperanza ends up walking up to Natalie, and they catch up on Kelly, and you know, talking about how Kelly's not doing well. Then Esperanza tells Natalie how she's worried about Steven. Well, at this point, Natalie is looking at her like, girl, this is silly. I could care less about Steven. Did you not say that you were done with him? And Esperanza said, okay, well, I did say that, but he should still pick up the phone. Like, I think that Eddie has something to do with this. Natalie is literally taking a deep breath, just like I am. Like, girl, there is much more important things going on in the world besides a man not answering your phone call, okay? Eddie, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have anything to do with this. You need to just let it go. Okay, it's not about you for a second, which I think is good because Esperanza, like, it's always about Esperanza and Esperanza's mind. Like, your friends are literally going through meltdowns in their life. Like, Alex's meltdown has been never ending, like with Brad and with Randall, and Randall is constantly harassing her, and she has a new baby on top of that. There's Kelly, even before she went into jail, like, she was being stalked by Travis, and the guy that she liked, Ramsey, was killed. Like, I know that there's still stuff going on in Esperanza's life, but like, you have little relationship problems, like Steven, because he slept with you and then you told him to get out and he didn't answer your phone call anymore. Like, that's crazy, okay? The people around you have real problems. Marcy was pregnant, but Marcy was sleeping with your other friend's husband. Like, it's a lot going on, and you're over here in La La Land, but whatever. So I'm glad that like Natalie did not feed into Esperanza's like ridiculousness. Okay, so anyways, then we have Brad. So Brad walks into Marcy's room. Marcy was wondering where he was. Of course, he needed air after finding out, that Alex lied to him once again. We all know that Brad is upset, but he does want to be with his wife because he always goes back to his wife. But then I think as a way to get back at Alex as like revenge or to make her feel hurt or unwanted, like she made him feel, that's why he is like at Marcy's like every beckoning call. And I think he's concerned about Marcy as a person, but I don't think like if he had it his way, he would be with her over his wife. If things were just a-okay with him and his wife and he felt like he didn't trust her, he would be with Alex any day over Marcy. But whatever. Marcy updates Brad on like Randall coming into the room and how he tried to stress her out and like how she basically thinks like he was trying to get her to miscarry. And then of course she tells him that Randall found out she was there from Alex. So Brad is like, you know what? That's it. I'm done. I'm like, Brad, like, you just said you was done, like, was probably 30 minutes ago at that point. Like, this is ridiculous. I thought you said you was already done. If you're done, you don't have to keep saying you're done. That means you weren't done. That means you still had a little bit of hope, and now she's told you something else about Alex, so you're like, I'm done. If I was Marcy, I wouldn't even believe you. I'd be like, you know how many times you say you were done with her? And at this point, Marcy is like, you know what? Don't be mad, basically she was kind of insinuating, like, don't be super mad at Alex, which is weird because she normally, like, loves the fact that, like, he gets mad at Alex and he's like, I'm not going to be with her. I'm going to move in with you. And that's exactly what Brad did in this moment. It is a cycle for him. He's like, you know what? I'm going home. I'm getting my clothes. I'm moving out and I'm going to move into our place if that's okay with you. I'm moving into our place if that's okay with you. If it's your place too, then why? Whatever, okay? Brad always says he's going back there and he always ends up back at home, but whatever. But he also says a little slick comment. He was like, well, I don't know if your boyfriend's going to be okay with that. Marcy says, who's my boyfriend? And he's like, that lawyer guy, Ian. She's like, oh, he's not my boyfriend. Brad says, yeah, but I know that he likes you. He's very concerned about you. She's like, I just sold him a house. We went out to dinner a few times. Marcy, quit lying. You know he likes you. He told you he likes you. And you kind of like him too, but you're conflicted because you have this like revenge thing going with Brad. But you and Brad, it never started off genuine. It was just literally you slept with each other to get back at your spouses. But when those feelings subside and you guys really move on, like, Marcy has moved on from Randall, like, you're going to realize this isn't real, this thing that you think you have with Brad. Like, your reasoning for being with him, you're beyond that now. So, whatever. Then as Marcy was like, do you really think Ian likes me that much? You think he likes me enough to commit a crime? And she's referring to him forging Randall's signature because she realizes Randall didn't willingly sign those documents. Brad's, is like, I'm not really sure. I don't think he would do something like that. And then Marcy tries to talk about it in detail, but then that's when she starts getting really sharp pains in her stomach. And Brad is concerned, so he runs to get the doctor. So we'll get back to that. Okay, so then we see Esperanza in the police station, goes up to Lucian's desk to talk to him once again about Steven. Like, y'all already knew what it was about. Lucian is not here for it. He's like, oh my gosh, here you go again. This is like the 6th time today. Like, what do you want? And Esperanza's like, look, I'm going to say this, and I'm only going to say this once. I literally hate Esperanza's, like, smart mouth, because she's always trying to be a smart mouth, but she's really not that smart. But whatever. Esperanza says, I really think Eddie may be involved. And Lucian says, I don't want to get involved at this point. I'm not calling him. And then Esperanza was like, but I really need you to call and check on him. I want to make sure nothing happened. Eddie was like stalking us last night. And Lucian says, no, I'm not going to call, because if I call him and he picks up the phone, you're going to feel a way about that. She said, no, just call. So Lucian gives in and he calls like we all knew he would. And Steven immediately picks up the phone like nothing happened, which I was shocked, because remember a few episodes ago when Steven left out of Esperanza's house, Eddie and this like mysterious black van followed him. So I don't know. Maybe they're just following him and they're going to do something to him later. I'm not going to discount that black van following Steven from Esperanza's house. That was set up. That is going to come up somewhere in the next season. So don't forget that. But anyways, he's totally fine. He was playing golf and he caught on to the fact that Esperanza must have had Lucian call him. And he's kind of liking it because, hey, you said you didn't want me no more, so I'm not picking up the phone. Like, he knows Esperanza is like playing a game. Like, do you want to be with me or do you not want to be with me? Okay? Like, now the ball is basically in his court again. Okay, so of course she has egg on her face, and Esperanza's like, oh, okay, so he played me, I get it, and then walks out, and then Lucian is like, you know what, this is why people should not have work flings. Okay, so next thing you know, we see Randall. He forces his way into the lawyer's office, so Ian's office, looking for Larry because Larry has tricked him. Ian, once again, at this point, like Larry hasn't called in, he hasn't spoken to Ian at this point. Randall is super mad and basically like tells Ian what he knows that Larry did, and he like got him to sign the wrong documents, and Ian says that's highly unethical. I doubt he would do that. And I'm like, Ian, do you hear yourself talking? You're the one that said yourself that Larry is the type of person that will do anything to win. Why would you put that past him? You know he's capable of something like this. But I guess they work for the same firm, so he has to like have his back no matter how he feels about him. So Randall is convinced, yes, he did. I would have never signed for a divorce. And, Ian is like, why not? I mean, shouldn't it be for the best? I mean, you're smart, you're attractive, you'll be able to move on and find another woman. And at that point, Randall says, no, I didn't want a divorce because I just wanted revenge. And now I want revenge on Larry as well. Like, you people will hear from me. Okay. So then it goes to the next scene. Lucian. Of course, Lucian has gone to the spot where he tracked the box car where Larry is. Gets out of his police car, searches around like the perimeter of the van, and then finally lets up the back hatch and then sees Larry laying in there like tied to the truck, and he's bloody and unconscious. So he like hurries and calls ambulance to come and help. Okay, so then we're back to Alex. Alex pulls up to her house. Before she walks into the house, she gets on the phone with Esperanza because she says she just wants to talk, kind of vent about how like Randall has been like making her life miserable, and kind of just to talk to a friend because Alex never really talks to her friends in the midst of this chaos. But then she realizes at some point in the conversation, like this was a bad idea to call and vent to anybody, and she comes up with an excuse to get off the phone. But she does say while she's on the line with Esperanza, she's tired and she's considering surrendering to Randall because I guess if you can't beat him, join him. Okay. So when she gets off the phone, it goes back to the hospital where the doctor and Brad are. They're walking through the hall. Brad asks, how is she? He's referring to Marcy. The doctor says, we really have bad news. And then she reveals to him that Marcy has lost the baby. So Brad looks really sad in this moment for Marcy because he can only imagine how she's going to take the news. He asked about the results of the other tests because he's confused. He says, well, you said the first tests were good. So how is it that she's lost the baby? That's when the doctor reveals that the first tests were good, but there were still 2 more tests to do. Those 2 tests showed that they were going down a bad road and things were going to end badly. But before they even got the results back to those tests, she had already miscarried. Now, this was after she had that stressful conversation with Randall. So those heightened stress levels levels probably didn't help the situation. It sounds like from the doctor's point of view, it was moving in that direction anyway, but maybe that heightened level of stress kind of sped that up. You know, at this point, Brad, he was just going to go home, but the doctor thought it was a good idea for Brad to be there when she gives the news to Marcy because Marcy really cares for him and she may need somebody there for support. So then the doctor and Brad walk into the room. The doctor has a look on her face, which I really think doctors should maybe work on a, like some type of poker face because she kind of gave it away with her face. At that point, Marcy is like, I already know this look. Like, I know I lost the baby, right? And so the doctor confirms that. At this point, Marcy wants to go home. She instantly starts breaking out down in tears. The doctor doesn't think it's a good idea. Marcy doesn't care. Of course, she's blaming Randall at this point. She wants Brad to go get the car. She just wants everybody to get out because she wants to be alone, and she is really breaking down in this moment. And I mean, I've never been in that situation, but I can sympathize with her because according to her storyline, this has happened to her several times, and she was really excited about having this baby and being so far along because this was the furthest she had ever been, and to lose the baby once again just has to be absolutely devastating. So I felt for her in that moment for sure. So then we have Lucian. Lucian called Eddie down to the hospital, rushed him down there, basically shows Eddie that Larry is in the room and he's ready to talk and give his statement. So you need to go in there and talk to him. Convinces him some type of way to go in there. So of course Eddie thinks that Larry is just going to like basically tell the whole truth, how he was kidnapped and it was Eddie that did it and he tortured him and all this stuff. But Larry completely changes his story. He had already said he was kidnapped before Eddie got there. But when he got there, he changed it. He said he was just doing like some weird sexual stuff. It got out of hand. That's what happened. At this point, Lucian and Steven are both shocked that Larry changed his story, and so is Eddie, but he just went with it. So they were leaving out of the room, and Larry asked Eddie to stay so he could have a word with him alone. Of course, he let him know, like, I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to send shooters for you, but I will get back with you, okay? Like, you are behind enemy lines at this point right now, okay? So be looking out for my next move. So of course, Eddie is like, okay, I'll be waiting on you, whatever. And then leaves out of the room. And so next we have like Randall. So Randall pulls up to his house. He sees Alex sitting on her porch, looking like disappointed. She gets away from her porch, walks away, and Randall gets out of his car. She's not saying anything and literally walks straight back to the backyard towards his shed. He's confused as to where she's going, but he follows her, and perfect timing in Tyler Perry world, Brad drives by in his truck and he is furious. And I'm like, Brad, how you always end up at home, okay? I thought you wanted her to stay away from you. I thought you was done with her, but you look real jealous once again. Whatever. So in the shed, Alex, Randall comes in. She locks the doors to the shed. I mean, it's very like, you can't tell what the vibe is. You don't know if she came in there to actually surrender and just have sex with him, or if she's just so calm because she's so mad and she just wants to have a real conversation. So at this point, they really did have a real conversation. Like, she told him, like, she's tired. At first, he was trying to fight it. He's like, get out. And she's like, no, like, you don't mean that because you still love me. And I can tell it wouldn't be all this passion and everything behind everything you're doing. You know what? I'm tired of going through this, and I'm tired of seeing you go through this. And I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, like, I am genuinely sorry for every single thing I did to you. I am like extremely sorry. And she took ownership in starting the whole thing, but she's apologizing in this moment. Well, he felt her apology and, you know, like, kind of accepted it in a sense, but he was just upset that she started it and she had never genuinely apologized before then. So that's why he kept dragging it on. He didn't want to, but he felt like he had to. He said he thinks about the good times they had, but then he thinks about how their spouses slept with each other. So that's where more of the revenge comes from. Like, that's why he taunts them. Like, that hurt him as well. So Alex is like, you know what? It's a new day. I just want to turn over a new leaf. I want to work on our friendship and our families. I will bring the baby over right now. Like, I just want us to be good. So then at that point, he starts like grabbing on her and like touching her shoulder and stuff. And he's like, take off your clothes. And she's like, no, for real, I didn't come here for that. Like, I promise you. Like, I came here to fix things. I don't want to sleep with you. And he's like, take off your clothes. Of course, like, he still has feelings for her. And he even tries to like kind of try to fill up on her and like start acting like he's going under the sea. But she's like, no, 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 I don't want to do all that. Then all of a sudden she starts like smelling like gasoline. She's like, do you smell that? And he's looking around. Then all of a sudden you see like a flame come from under the door. And literally somebody has like gasoline the whole shed and lit it on fire. They put a crowbar in the door. So Alex and Randall can't get out. They're coughing like crazy. And Alex is literally like can't even yell help anymore because she's falling down to the ground. And I'm like, this is Brad. Like, this is Brad for sure. If it's not Brad, then it's Marcy for sure. Because Marcy's either like really mad at Randall about like stressing her out and she ended up losing her baby, or Brad is mad for Marcy and he's also mad at Alex because he saw her walk back into the backyard. But to kill them, like, that's a lot. So that's crazy. And I thought the episode was going to be over after that. But that's not even where it ends. Like, it takes us to Kelly's house, not Kelly, Natalie's house. Natalie's sweeping her kitchen. She decides, oh, let me look at my purse and read that letter that I got from Kelly. So she's reading it and everything is normal. And then she gets to the end of the letter and she jumps up and goes to her phone to call Lucian. She's like, Lucian, you need to go and check on Kelly now. The letter she wrote me was a suicide letter. And he's like, well, okay, I'll call you back, and drops the phone, runs to her cell, and Kelly is hanging. She has freaking hung herself, and it was like the saddest, like most depressing episode of If Loving You Is Wrong I've ever seen. Well, okay, when they tried to kill Randall, that was really racist and depressing, but like Kelly, it's like she was just like so broken and like he's yelling for help, and that's where we leave off at. Like, really, Tyler? Like, really? Like, I have to wait next season to see how Randall and Alex get out of the shed, because clearly they're going to get out. Like, two of the main characters are not going to die. They might end up in the hospital, but they're not going to die. And now I feel really bad because Kelly has gotten on my nerves all season. And I've said so many times, like, Tyler Perry, just send her to jail or just like kill her off or something. Okay, like, I didn't want her to kill herself. Like, this is crazy. Like, now I'm like, oh man, like they should have been sending her to a counselor or something. Like, that's a lot to deal with. But it's like absolutely like devastating. It was like the saddest way to end it. But he generally is really good at leaving people speechless, and that right there left me speechless. But anyways, if you made it this far in the video and you're not subscribed, you may as well go ahead and subscribe. Catch me back here for the next Tyler Perry review, which is the Haves and Have-Nots finale next week. Like, comment, subscribe, and check me out at mrsblogaholic.com. Bye.